The shift in their relationship was subtle but profound. They still maintained public appearances, but now every touch carried private meaning. In meetings, Lyris would brush her hand against his, and Marcus would find any excuse to stand close enough to feel her warmth. They were inspecting a border station where both human and Valdrian forces worked together, proof that their marriage had achieved its goal of cooperation. Walking through the corridors, they encountered young soldiers of both species working in harmony, and several approached to thank them. "You gave us hope," a human lieutenant said, looking between them. "You proved we don't have to be enemies." After the lieutenant left, Lyris was quiet. That evening, in their quarters, she finally spoke. "They believe in us, in what we represent. Maybe because it stopped being entirely a lie," Marcus said carefully. She turned to him, her blonde hair catching the light, her navy blue skin luminous. "When the treaty is signed next week, you're free to go." "We agreed. This ends when peace is secured." "What if I don't want it to end?" The bioluminescent patterns across her skin flared bright silver. "Marcus, you have a life on Earth, a career, family, a world that's not mine. You'd give that up for an arranged marriage that was never meant to be real?" He crossed to her, taking both her hands. "I'd give that up for you. Not the arrangement, not the political symbol, you." Lyris, the woman who argues with admirals, who mourns singing crystals, who talks in the darkness about dreams and fears. The woman I've fallen completely in love with. She made a sound between a laugh and a sob. "You ridiculous human. Do you know what you're saying? Valdrian marriages are permanent. Our biology, our culture, we bond for life. If we make this real, if we complete the marriage bond, I could never let you go. Even if you wanted to leave, even if you hated me, I would." She broke off, turning away. "I would become what your species would call obsessed. Possessive. Valdrian partners who complete the bond cannot bear separation." Marcus gently turned her back to face him. "Then it's good I have no intention of leaving. You don't understand the depth of it. Physical separation causes pain for bonded Valdrians. If you return to Earth for even a visit, I would," her voice cracked. "The longing would consume me. Then I'll bring Earth to you. My family can visit here. My career is now bridge building between our species. I can do that anywhere." He cupped her face, marveling at the softness of her navy blue skin. "Lyris, I knew the risks when I agreed to this mission. I just didn't know the greatest risk would be losing my heart to you." Her patterns blazed across her skin, silver and gold intertwining. "If we do this, there's no going back. The bonding ritual is," she hesitated, vulnerability clear in her golden eyes. "It's intimate, permanent. Everything I am becomes intertwined with everything you are." "Show me," he whispered. She led him to their bed. But this wasn't the tentative sharing of space they'd grown used to. She explained in a trembling voice how Valdrian bonding worked, a sharing of life force through touch. Through connection, through the complete vulnerability of two souls choosing to become inseparable. "Are you certain?" she asked one final time, her hands already glowing with the bioluminescent energy that would bind them. Marcus answered by pulling her close and kissing her with all the love he'd been holding back. The bonding ritual was beyond anything Marcus could have imagined. As Lyris's bioluminescent energy flowed between them, he felt her emotions, her memories, her very essence intertwining with his. He experienced her childhood in crystal palaces, felt the grief of worlds lost to war, understood the weight of crown and duty she'd carried since adolescence, and she felt him, his love for distant forests. The trauma of commanding ships in battle, the moment he'd first seen her and felt his world shift. The loneliness of being the man who carried Earth's hopes, and the overwhelming joy of finding someone who understood. When the ritual completed, they lay tangled together, both gasping. Lyris's skin glowed like a constellation, patterns shifting with every emotion passing between them. Marcus could feel her heartbeat as if it were his own, sense her presence like a constant warmth in his chest. "Now you're truly mine," she whispered, her voice carrying a fierce possessiveness that might have frightened him before. Now it only made him hold her tighter. "And I am yours, forever." "Forever sounds perfect," he murmured against her navy blue shoulder. The treaty signing came 3 days later. Both empires had gathered, and the documents were presented with great ceremony. As Marcus and Lyris prepared to sign, officially ending the war and fulfilling their political purpose, the Valdrian Empress stood. "Princess Lyris, Commander Chun, your marriage has served its purpose admirably. As agreed, you are free to dissolve this arrangement with honor." The chamber fell silent. Every eye turned to them. Lyris stood, regal and radiant, her hand firmly clasped with Marcus's. "With respect, your Imperial Majesty, I must decline." Shock rippled through the assembly. The Empress's eyes widened. "Lyris, the agreement was clear." "The agreement was a lie," Lyris said, her voice strong and clear. She turned to Marcus, and her bioluminescent patterns blazed with silver and gold. "What began as political necessity became truth. I stand before you as a bonded Valdrian, forever connected to this human." She faced the assembly. "I will not release him. I cannot. He is mine, and I am his, by choice and by love." The human diplomatic corps looked stunned. Marcus's commanding officer started to stand, protest forming on his lips. Marcus squeezed Lyris's hand and addressed both assemblies. "I came here expecting to perform a duty and return home. Instead, I found home itself." He looked at Lyris, letting everyone see the love on his face. "This woman is my wife, truly. She's the bridge between our worlds, yes, but she's also my partner, my equal, the person I choose every day. If Earth cannot accept that, then I resign my commission." "That won't be necessary, Commander," his superior said slowly, a smile starting to form, "though it might complicate the personnel assignments." The Valdrian Empress studied them for a long moment, then began to laugh a sound like bells. "It seems, honored guests of Earth, that we've been outmaneuvered by our own political strategy. The marriage that was meant to end with a treaty has instead given us something more lasting." She gestured to them both. "Rise, Ambassador Chun and Princess Consort Lyris. Your union has brought peace. Let it also bring lasting alliance." The chamber erupted in applause from both species. As the celebration began, Marcus pulled Lyris into a private alcove. "No regrets?" he asked. "You could have let me go." She grabbed his collar, pulling him down for a fierce kiss. "I told you during our bonding, you felt it. I could never let you go. You're mine, Marcus Chun, and I am ridiculously, completely in love with you." "Good," he grinned against her lips, "because I have a feeling the Valdrian Empress is going to make my life very interesting. That's what you get for marrying a princess." She kissed him again, softer this time. "Come, we have a treaty to celebrate and a life to begin." As they returned to the celebration hand in hand, both could feel through their bond the absolute certainty of their choice. What began as a fake wedding to save two worlds had become the realest thing in either of their lives. And Princess Lyris would never, ever let him go. Not because the bond forced her to keep him, but because she'd chosen him, wholly and completely, and would choose him again every day for the rest of their shared lives. The weeks blurred into a rhythm that felt suspiciously like belonging. Sarah discovered a talent for gardening, transforming the backyard into something vibrant. Lixa bonded with Emma over art projects that left glitter in places glitter should never reach. And Kira found herself drawn into Marcus's orbit with increasing inevitability. It started small. Morning coffee shared in comfortable silence while Emma slept. him teaching her to use Earth technology, his hand steady on hers as he guided her through the interface. Her helping him with Emma's bedtime stories, their shoulders touching as they sat on either side of the little girl. "You're good with her," Marcus said one evening after Emma had finally drifted off. They lingered in the hallway, reluctant to break the spell of quiet intimacy. "She's easy to love," Kira replied, then hesitated. "As are you." The words hung between them. Marcus's eyes darkened, his expression shifting to something heated and vulnerable. "Kira ... I know it's too soon," she continued, her courage wavering. "I know I'm still broken in ways, but I need you to know that what I feel." He moved closer, his hand coming up to cup her cheek, his thumb tracing the line of her jaw. "You're not broken. You're healing. There's a difference. So are you," she whispered. "Yeah," his voice roughened. "But maybe we can heal together." The kiss was inevitable soft at first, questioning, then deepening as 3 years of loneliness met months of unworthiness and found mutual redemption. Kira's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer as his arms wrapped around her waist. Her navy blue skin seemed to glow in the dim hallway light, her blonde hair falling forward as she pressed against him. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Marcus pressed his forehead to hers. "I've wanted to do that for weeks." "Only weeks?" Kira managed a shaky laugh. "I've wanted this since you first smiled at Emma in the immigration center." They made their way to his room theirs, he corrected, with the door locked and the night stretching before them. His hands learned the topology of her alien beauty, the soft fur at her ears, the sensitive spots along her spine, the way she shivered when he traced the patterns on her navy blue skin. "You're exquisite," he murmured against her collarbone, his lips blazing a trail downward. "Every part of you." Kira arched into his touch, her own hands exploring the scars he'd carried, the stories written on his body. "Show me," she breathed. "Show me what it means to be wanted." He did, with reverence and passion, with gentle certainty and fierce tenderness. Their coupling was both discovery and homecoming, two souls finding completion in each other's arms. The night dissolved into gasped names, whispered promises, and the sweet ache of barriers finally falling away. Later, wrapped in sheets in each other, Marcus traced lazy patterns on her shoulder. "I love you," he said simply. "I know it's fast, but—" "It's not fast," Kira interrupted, her golden eyes luminous in the darkness. "It's exactly the right time. And I love you too." Outside, Earth's moon painted silver light across the garden where Sarah and Lixa had created beauty from abandoned soil. Inside, two hearts beat in synchrony, finding rhythm in the spaces between words. They'd both been unwanted, both discarded by life's cruelty. But in choosing each other, they'd become something neither expected, whole. 6 months transformed everything. The house that had once felt too large now brimmed with life, with laughter and occasional arguments, with Emma's constant questions and 3 Falari women who'd learned to call Earth home. Sarah had started teaching xenobotany at the local university, her expertise making her an immediate success. Lixa worked in a children's art center, her patience and creativity perfect for young minds. And Kira had found purpose in advocacy work, helping other relocated aliens navigate their new lives. But it was the evenings Kira treasured most, when Emma would demand family time and they'd all gather in the living room. A tangle of species and love that defied every boundary her people had drawn. Tonight was special. Emma had insisted on a celebration, though she wouldn't say why. She'd made Marcus wear his fancy shirt and had even attempted to braid Lixa's blonde hair with mixed results. "Okay, everybody sit," Emma commanded with 6-year-old authority. When they'd assembled on the couch, she scrambled to the center, clutching something behind her back. "So, we've been a family for half a year now. Best 6 months of my life," Marcus said, his hand finding Kira's and squeezing. Emma nodded seriously. Mine too. But I've been thinking. Kira, Sira, and Lixa don't have the same last name as us. That's not fair. Kira's breath caught. Emma, so I drew these. Emma produced papers covered in crayon drawings, crude but heartfelt renderings of their household. This is us, the Chun family. ALL of us. Sira made a sound suspiciously like a sob. Lixa pressed her hands to her mouth. Marcus cleared his throat roughly. Actually, Emma and I have been talking about this. We wondered if... He pulled out official documents, his hand slightly unsteady. If you'd want to make it legal. Adoption papers. You'd be Chun's officially. If you want. The silence stretched, thick with emotion. You'd do that? Kira whispered. Even though we can't. Biology is irrelevant, Marcus interrupted firmly. You're already my family. This just makes it official. Sira launched herself at Marcus, followed immediately by Lixa, both of them crying and laughing. Emma squirmed into the group hug with determined enthusiasm. And Kira sat frozen, overwhelmed by the enormity of it. Marcus extracted himself enough to kneel before her, taking both her hands. You don't have to decide now, but I need you to know I want everything with you. Partnership, marriage, if you'll have me. Not because I need it, but because I love you. Because you've made me remember what it means to build a future. Kira pulled him up, kissing him hard enough that Emma giggled and covered her eyes. Yes, she said against his lips. Yes to all of it. The documents were signed that night, witnessed by neighbors who'd become friends. When Kira wrote Kira Chun for the first time, her hand trembled with the weight of belonging. Later, after Emma was asleep and Sira and Lixa had retreated to their rooms, Marcus and Kira stood in the garden under Earth's stars. I was dying on that transport ship, Kira said quietly. Not physically, but in every way that mattered. I thought being unwanted was my identity. Marcus wrapped his arms around her from behind, his chin resting on her shoulder. And now? She turned in his embrace, her navy blue skin luminous in the moonlight, her golden eyes bright with tears and joy. Now I know that being chosen is so much better than being wanted. Because you chose me when I was nothing. You saw worth when I couldn't. You gave me family when I'd lost everything. You gave me a future when I'd resigned myself to just surviving, he countered. You taught Emma what it means to love without boundaries. You made this house a home again. Their kiss was long and sweet, promising tomorrows that once seemed impossible. Behind them, the house glowed with warm light. Inside, Emma dreamed of sisters and adventures. Sira planned her next semester's curriculum. Lixa sketched designs for a new mural. And two hearts beat in the darkness, finding perfect synchrony. They'd all been labeled unwanted by fate, by loss, by cruel biology. But in choosing each other, they'd become something infinitely more valuable. A family forged not by blood, but by courage, compassion, and love that transcended every boundary the universe had tried to impose. The stars wheeled overhead, indifferent and eternal. But here, on this small blue planet, in this modest house surrounded by gardens growing from once barren soil, 6 souls had found what everyone seeks and few truly find. Home, the end.